Tired of fighting? Let me help you.
So if you actually wrote down everything your party has done in this campaign and handed it to a random stranger, do you think they would say, "Ah yes, noble heroes, champions of the light"? Or would they say, "So these people rob the desperate, stab prisoners, bargain with demons, and occasionally save a village by accident. How are these the good guys?"
Meet the new boss.
And in tabletop games like D&D, that's not necessarily a problem. This is what I would call an anti-hero party. Welcome, my name's Flamey, and I think anti-heroes are my favourite kind of player. I'm not talking edgelordy, I'm talking real anti-heroes. You're probably thinking, what do you mean by anti-hero? Let's throw away all the academic jargon and boil this down to something useful that you can use at your table. An anti-hero PC is a main character who breaks the world or groups ideas of what heroes should act like. But the story still treats them as someone we are meant to follow and usually want to see win. They are our protagonists, the player characters, not villains. They're still on the stop the big evil path, but the way they do it clashes with the setting, the NPCs, or what the players would call heroic. It's like this: your paladin who keeps their oath and tries to save everyone is a hero. Your rogue who extorts a town guard to get information, lies to the priest, pockets the offering plate, but still risks their life against the dragon is an anti-hero. Your warlock whose main goal is to feed souls to their patron and conquer a city is not an anti-hero, that's just a villain PC. Do you see the difference? It's not has flaws versus does not, the difference is what they're aiming for and how they get there. And anti-heroes are relative to your table. Something important to remember when playing or DMing an anti-hero is they're not a fixed label. It is always relative to what particular society calls heroic. At your table, the society is the settings, cultures and religions, and the out-of-character expectations of the group. In a bright heroic game, heroes are expected to protect innocents, show mercy when they can, work with the law most of the time, and not to burn down orphanages for a slight tactical edge. In that world, a character who kills prisoners, tortures commoners for clues, and ignores collateral damage looks like an anti-hero if they're still fighting the big bad, and then like a villain once they stop aiming at anything beyond themselves. In a grimy, corrupt city where the church is rotten and the guards are just a gang, wearing a shiny uniform, a hero might be someone who kills the slaver without a trial, lies to survive, and breaks local laws whenever the laws are clearly unjust, you know? In that world, the same behaviour might be framed as heroic sacrifice rather than an anti-hero. So before we even get to the alignment boxes, you already have the sliding scale. What counts as a hero at this table? What counts as too far? Until you know that, you cannot tell if your character is a flawed hero, an anti-hero, or a baby villain in disguise. For D&D, you can draw a pretty clean line using 3 questions. What are they trying to achieve? What do they hurt to get it? How does the world respond? For instance, the hero PC tries to achieve something clearly good, protect people, stop a threat, restore something broken, tries to use the means that fit the world's idea of decent when possible. When they slip, it feels like a failure or tragedy, not their usual operating mode. Whereas an anti-hero PC aims at mostly good outcomes. Same bad guys, same cults, same demons to stop, but regularly uses methods the world or party considers ugly: coercion, blackmail, ruthless violence, betrayal, or untrustworthy NPCs. The story still largely presents them as someone we root for, even if we wince a lot, you know? And then you've got your villain PCs, aims at selfish or destructive outcomes, domination, cruelty for its own sake, apotheosis at the cost of everyone else. The world resists them, allies drift away, NPCs have reasons to oppose them. And if the campaign is not deliberately about them, they are a ticking time bomb that's at the centre of the game that thought it was heroic. Once you know which lane a character is really in, you can stop arguing about labels and start building your campaign around the type of players you have. Or if you're a player that's a bit confused, you can start planning how you're going to actually play the game and stop dipping your toe in each one of the 3 different types. Unless that's something you want to do, of course. And there is a big difference between 2 PC shapes that get confused constantly. A player character who starts messy then grows into a hero, or a player character who starts morally sideways and still wins. As an example, a flawed hero arc might look like Session 1 the fighter is selfish, reckless and does not care about innocence. And then over time the world and the party change them. They start taking blows for others, giving up gold and refusing to cross certain lines. By the time they beat the villain, it's because they chose a more heroic path. They started an anti, but stopped being that because they chose to align with the group's idea of a hero. And then you got a true anti-hero arc. The rogue is a thief who does not mind threatening people, hoarding gold, cutting corners. 30 sessions later, they're still that person. They save cities by strangling problems in the dark, cutting deals with devils and burning bridges. The story lets that work. The game does not force them to abandon those traits to succeed. That is your actual anti-hero PC. They accomplish or fail their goals using the very traits that make people uncomfortable with them. And don't get me wrong, both can be satisfying. You just need to watch out for when things go bad, when everyone thinks they're in one story and then one player thinks it's another. Here are some patterns that I've picked up over the years that reliably keep anti-hero PCs fun instead of corrosive. They're loyal to the party. You can play ruthless with NPCs as long as you're solid with the other players. And what I mean by that is not stealing from party members, not betraying them to an enemy, not undermining their big arcs for cheap grim moments. Unless this is specifically something that the rest of the party want. An anti-hero in a novel can betray the team whenever the author feels like it and nobody loses a friend at the table. In a TTRPG, betray the party is one of the fastest ways to turn anti-hero fun into out-of-character resentment. So one simple rule that I stand by is you can be horrible to the world, but be good to the group. It is the same logic as a lot of evil character in a good party guides use. Be selfish towards the world, ride or die towards the crew. They share the big goal. Anti-heroes become villains the moment their long-term goals stop matching the party's. So even if your warlock is greedy, proud and happy to threaten anyone in their way, they still need at least one of these. A personal stake stopping the big bad. Someone they love who would be lost if the world burns. A code or line they will not cross which anchors them on the same side as others. Literally, you can have different methods, same big bad is fine. But if you've got different methods and secretly I'm on the big bad side, is a different campaign. They have lines and moments of hesitation. If a character never hesitates, never questions themselves, never has to choose between two bad options, they are not morally grey, they are just comfortable in the dark. The interesting anti-hero shape is they regularly push further than the classic hero would, but there are moments where the table can see the wheel turning. Do I torture this cultist, or accept we might lose people if we do not? Do I hand over this child to the hag, or find another way? It's those story beats where the group sees where the character truly stands. And you could argue that heroes who hesitate at key moments is a sign that their alignment is shifting. At the table, those moments are the sign that the PC is still wrestling with being part of the good guys, and not just role-playing a cartoon monster. The world reacts honestly. For anti-heroes to work, the world around them cannot shrug and treat their methods as normal. If they threaten innocents, some people should be afraid of them. If they commit war crimes, some faction should hate or hunt them. And if they're ruthless but effective, some groups will quietly rely on them and still not invite them to festivals. This reaction the world has preserves the idea that the setting has its own sense of right and wrong, keeps anti-hero traits feeling anti, not default. Otherwise you slide into that world where everything is flattened, no one is really heroic, and nothing shocks anyone anymore. And the campaign you've worked so hard to build starts to feel hollow, even while everyone is being edgy. What blows games up? On the flip side, there are behaviours that get dressed up in anti-hero clothing but almost always hurt the group, like hiding selfish play behind "it's what my character would do." If my character would do that is constantly excuse for ruining other players' plans, picking fights inside the party, derailing the story because you're bored, then the issue is not the character, it's the player. The character doesn't have any agency, the person at the table does. You can always choose to play the version of the character that values the group and the story, or you're treating everyone as disposable, including the party. Once a character's attitude is basically everyone is a pawn, including my allies, you're playing a solo villain arc in someone else's campaign. And there are games for that. D&D usually is not it, unless everyone agreed ahead of time. Or maybe a whole table of, we do not care about anything. A lot of morally grey tables have this in common. No one has clear principles, no one really cares who wins. Every choice is what is most convenient now. And that is not moral complexity. Anti-hero stories work when the character cares deeply about something good, and that good is fighting for space inside their nasty methods. When you remove the good thing entirely, you just get shit. So you're probably thinking, what do you actually do with this as a DM? If you're running a game where everyone keeps drifting towards anti-hero behaviour, you do not have to fight it, you just have to shape it. At the start, just talk about tone. Are we heroic with messy methods, or truly grim where everything is compromised? Decide what is off limits, torture, harm to innocents, betrayal, PvP, whatever. Put it to plain language. And ask each player, what does your character care about that is not themselves? What line would they refuse to cross? And and that gives you your heroic ideal. And when you're actually playing the game, offer choices where the clean option is harder but meaningful. Let the anti-hero methods work sometimes and explode in their face other times. And don't forget to let the world react, praise, fear, suspicion, consequences. And if you have one very rigidly heroic PC in a greyish party, make sure that player is on board with being the consensus, not the moral police. Give them wins where the idealism actually saves the day, so it's not just a watch everyone else ignore you type of game. The tension between the stern paladin and a handful of anti-heroes can be amazing. And look, as long as everyone understands the story they are in, and nobody is using it as a pretext for bullying or stonewalling, it's great. The funny thing is, most tables are already full of anti-heroes, not because your friends are secretly terrible people. It's literally just the kind of protagonist modern players grow up with and love. Bruised, selfish, tired, capable of ugly things, still running towards the fire when it counts. And you don't need to stamp it out, you just need to aim it. Give them something worth saving. Let the world have an opinion about their methods. Make them choose where their line actually is. Once you know that line, you finally know what hero means in your campaign. And if you can get a table to argue in character about whether your bastard of a rogue has gone too far this time, while still caring about each other out of character, that's some good shit. And that is anti-heroes working exactly as they're supposed to. So kids, have you ever played an anti-hero? How did it work? Did you have fun? If you're a GM, have you ever run a game for some? Let everyone know in the comments your experiences so we can help others with their home games. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay spicy adventurers.